Hello, and welcome to Cheers. That's one woman's opinion. We are now in our Oh, I always forget that. I am your host, Carolyn Mills. Now I'll continue. We are in the second season of Cheers, and also therefore the second season of the podcast. And today we'll be looking at episode one of season two called Power Play. This episode first aired September 29th, 1982. The season two main cast. I like to go through the main cast each season, as sometimes there's changes. And so for the season two main cast, we have Ted Danson as Sam Malone, Shelley Long as Diane Chambers, Nicholas Colasanto as Ernie Coach Pantuso, and again, Colasanto died in 1985 following a heart attack. Rio Perlman as Carla Tortelli, new cast member, although he was there pretty much all of last season. John Ratzenberger as Cliff Clavin, he is now official. And George Wendt as Norm Peterson. And of course, he sadly died this year on the anniversary of the Cheers finale, May 20th, 2025. He died. The finale was in 1993. He died from cardiac arrest. This episode was directed by James Burrows. It was written by Glenn Charles, Les Charles, James Burrows, and David Angel. Angel also died in the 9/11 attacks, him and his wife. Our guest cast, not many this week. We have Alan Koss as Alan and Paul Vaughn as Paul. Cheers is filmed in front of a live studio audience, is said by Rhea Perlman in this episode. So let's look at our summary. In our cold open, the episode actually starts with a replay of the office scene from the finale, Showdown Part 2, from season 1. Then it gets quiet in the office, and we see everybody on the outside. Norm suggests that Sam killed Diane. Carla says even in death she wouldn't be that quiet. Great line, especially if you remember in the was it part one or part two? I think it was part two episode of the finale. Sam says that she can't shut up long enough to write a check. So it's been a general consensus that Diane never stops talking. Coach asks what they are doing if they're not fighting. Cliff and Norm just look at him, and where everybody knows your name plays. Sam and Diane are still in the office. Diane wants to go someplace where they can be free to express what they've been feeling. Sam suggests the couch. She tells him to stop joking. He suggests his apartment. But then, thinking that she hates that idea, he acts like he was just joking again. Diane likes the idea at first. As they head to the door, she changes her mind. He starts pulling the couch cushions onto the floor, but she explains she wants to go someplace special, where he has never been with another woman. Sam tries, but he cannot think of a place, which kind of shows how many women Sam's been with. Boston is obviously one of the bigger cities in the United States. I don't know where it falls number wise, but it's definitely a big city. Um, and he cannot think of a place in that city that he's never been with a woman. And that makes Diane frustrated. Sam quickly suggests, why don't they go to her place? She agrees. They leave the office and she stops. Sorry. And Sam stops and looks up and says, she better be great. This is one of the lines that I notice. He actually says with her, but he says it again. I don't know if it's exactly word for word or similar, but in the Rebecca episode, there are some lines that overlap between Rebecca's and Diane, that Sam says. Diane lets the rest of the bar know that she and Sam are a couple, but she uses words they don't understand, so it just sounds like she's rambling to them. Even Sam is confused and asks if it's what they discussed in the office. When she says it is, Sam clarifies to the others, Diane and I decided we're going to start messing around. But Diane is upset because the barflies are not happier about the announcement. And you see here, Diane, who thinks she's better than everyone, really has a trying to think of the word here. Not vulnerable, but she's concerned about what other people think about her. Even the people she thinks are not good enough and that she's above because she wants their approval on this relationship, and it bothers her. Norm says that it was sudden, and I thought this was interesting too, but that he says it's sudden because throughout the first season, they make references to Sam like Diane, does Diane like Sam, do they like each other? Like the torch one, he says he's carrying torch, she's carrying torch. So it's really not that sudden because they saw the buildup happening. Um, Especially, I mean, Carla makes comments a lot about how it grosses her out and whatnot. But Alan says that they wish them all the luck in the world. As Diane heads towards the door, Cliff mutters, "It won't be enough." And that causes Diane to return to the barflies, and she tells them that she and Sam may be very different, but they have one thing in common: the willingness to be vulnerable to one another. Norm says, "I think I see ye old leash and leather shop coming." Now Sam looks annoyed as well. Which I thought this was interesting when I saw that, because first time I've really noticed the look on Sam's face. So you see that he really does want to make this work, and he's not trying to be the babe hound that he's known for being. He wants to make it work. And he says it's going to be even to be great, even though he may need to work a little harder with Diane. Which Diane is bothered by that question and asks Sam about it. Um, Diane definitely has some, not just being neurotic, but she's got some self-esteem issues. She needs approval. She's like, okay, why would you need to work harder? What makes me different? And so it's interesting to see that dynamic that I never really noticed before. They arrive at Diane's house, and she thanks him for the flowers. He picked flowers for her in the park, and then he thanks her for paying the fine. Sam goes into the bedroom and tries to find the light. He says he stepped on and killed Diane's cat. Apparently Sam, or maybe the writers, did not remember that Diane's cat, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, died in season one and was actually living with her mother at the time. So Diane did not have a cat in the apartment. But then he turns on the light and realizes it's a stuffed giraffe. Diane says his name is Mr. Jammers. She also has a stuffed frog named Freddie Frogbottom and a stuffed bee named Mr. Buzzer. Those are the animals that she names for him, but there's some other ones there too. Sam tells her that it's weird. I actually kind of think it's cute. I really love the name of the giraffe, especially Mr. Jammers, and I love how she says it when she says his name. She's adorable. Diane storms out of the living room. She says that is exactly what's wrong with you. And they start fighting again. Get used to this, people. This is what they do. They fight all the time over everything. But it's funny, so it makes good comedy. While they argue, Sam removes his pants. He's off camera at this point, but she asks him why he took his pants off. He says that the fight won't last all night and he doesn't want to be overdressed when it ends. Diane kicks him out of her apartment. She throws his pants out the door and she tells him to get out and then slams the door on him. I was actually thinking as I was writing up the summary here, I have to write things or I forget. Um, I don't want to lose out any important details, but anyway, but I was thinking when they see Sam just in his shorts, there's actually a few different scenes throughout the series where Sam is in his shorts. So apparently they took use of the fact that Ted Danson's incredibly good looking. He was my first TV crush. I think I've said that before. So at the bar, Coach is talking to the guys about how most of the guys he worked with in the majors are now dead. And I'm assuming when he said work with, he actually means as a player, because when he coached, obviously the players were quite a bit younger, like Sam's age, so they wouldn't all be dying yet. But he also played baseball at one point, so I'm assuming that's what he's referring to as those people. But he asked the question: "Is death the?" Sorry, yawn there. Coach asked the question if death is the end, which I thought was also cool. While keeping the comedy, they do a pretty good job at sometimes having these philosophical discussions, and this is one of them. Cliff tells him that there are different theories about what happens. As an example, he brings up reincarnation. Paul says, when you're dead, you're dead. It's actually funny because when he talks about reincarnation, and he says that it depends on your life from before, whether how you come back or whatever. And Norm's like, well, I must have made a real ass out of myself the last time. Sam comes into the bar and he's angry. Cliff asks him what he thinks about death. Sam replies, too good for her. And then he goes into his office. And he doesn't want to be disturbed. So the barflies, they start talking about how they warned Sam and Diane. But then Norm, he changes his mind and he says, we didn't give him a chance. We didn't give him our blessing. Maybe it's our fault. Maybe we sent them off on the wrong note. So Norm decides he's going to go and talk to Sam, even though Sam wants to be alone. So he goes to the office and Sam yells, "Get the hell out of here." Norm retreats as Sam comes out of his office and apologizes to him. The gang tells Sam that the relationship is a long shot, but long shots sometimes come in. Sam says he lost his mind for a second, but the old Sammy is back. He says he's going to grab the first woman he sees and go crazy. Carla appears in front of Sam, and Sam has no idea why she's there. It's been established that Carla has had a crush on Sam, and it's not a blatant thing, but you see it throughout the entire 11 years that she has this crush on him. It's downplayed, definitely, but it's there. And Sam just doesn't quite get that. Sam's been with like every woman. He does not see Carla, sadly, as a woman. He sees her as one of the guys. So I think she gets overlooked. I feel kind of bad for Carla sometimes. I mean, she knows everything about him, and it's quite clear that she has a crush on him. So this is just an example. Sam says that things will go back to the way they were pre-Diane. Carla asks Coach if he buys it. Coach says he doesn't even understand it. Sam assures Carla he is through with Diane, but Carla says she can help him get Diane back, which is kind of weird to me. But of course, Carla's doing it for a reason, but it still sounds weird. So Carla explains that women want a man to take control of them. Norm says that Carla's right. Sam decides to try it. Diane is watching TV when Sam returns. She tells him to go away, and he breaks into her apartment. She tells him that he's going to pay for the door. He picks her up and tells her, "Get in that bedroom, woman." She says, "Okay." She asks for a minute, and Sam agrees, and he hears her talking. She tells him she's on the phone. When she comes out, Sam asks her who she called. She tells him the police. She says, "If you're going to act like a marauding Hun, you have to expect to be treated like one." I had to look up what marauding was. I knew who the Huns were, but I didn't know what they meant by marauding. And it says refers to an wow, my writing's horrible. It refers to an aggressive, brutal, and plundering group of people. There's a reason I also type the summaries for these podcasts because I cannot read my writing. It's sad. It's very bad. But that part I wrote in afterwards. So anyway, she makes coffee while they wait. Sam says he hasn't done anything. Diane points out her door as evidence. Sam says he has to leave, and Diane replies, "Oh, you have to run? I'll just call the police, and give them your address." Sam is feeling scared. Diane's really got him at this point. It's hilarious because he's clueless, and she's playing it well, and she's playing it straight. Diane tells him that they both learned something tonight. He learned that violence has no place in a relationship, which he agrees. She learns she liked the lift part from earlier when he picked her up and carried her into the bedroom. And then she sits on his lap. He stands up and again carries her to the bedroom. Diane has Sam put the stuffed animals in the other room. Sam asks her to call the police back. Diane says that she never really called the cops. Sam returns to the living room and starts chucking her stuffed animals out the window. And that is the episode. I gave the episode 3.5 out of 5 beer nuts. It wasn't a favorite, and I think it was kind of weak, especially for a season opener. But I love, especially love the scene when when Sam's throwing Diane's animals out the window. The way he does it's hysterical. Especially she says to make sure, I forget which two are not together because they don't get along, and he's like, "Don't worry, they're miles apart." So it wasn't a horrible episode, but definitely not as good as it could be. The MVP, Shelley Law, still going strong. Um, like I said, the whole way she plays it straight, where Sam's convinced she's called the cops and she never lets on. In fact, around the first time I saw it, I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, she obviously called the cops. And that's not good for Sam. So the asthma's acting up again today, allergies. So when breathing acts up, I yawn more. And it seems to happen when I do the podcast. But then again, I have asthma and allergy issues all the time, so it makes sense it would act up randomly. Anyway, back to Shelley Long. She does the whole thing well. Her insecurities, making that come out without herself realizing just how insecure she is. You see all that. Shelley Long is a phenomenal actress. I would love to get her on this podcast. I don't think she does them. I believe, in fact, I think she's actually retired now. Um, but I do hope to get her one day. But I really doubt I will because I don't think she does them. But I'll try. I'm trying to get all the cast members who I can get, and of course the guest stars I try to get. But it's hard to say who will do it and who won't until I just all I can do is email or write or contact. However, I have Internet Movie Database Pro IMDb. I have the pro version, so I can get a hold of everyone. But I'm trying to get people. I send out requests and whatnot, and I don't know. Like I said, I can only do what I can do. But I'm trying. So if anybody has any leads, feel free to contact me. So best dressed for this episode was Carla Tortelli. Honestly, nothing really stood out. But she had some good outfits, so I went with her. Favorite line, when they're in the office in the beginning, Diane says, "You've been with a lot of women." Sam says, "No, I have not. That there haven't been that many women. It gets exaggerated here in the bar." Diane says, "How many were have there been?" Sam says, "I don't know, 400." You hear Diane? Honeys, honeys, 4 honeys. Runner up, which is actually related to that line, is at her apartment when she kicks him out. Sam says, "You want to know the truth? It wasn't 4 women. It was 400. Easy." Diane replies, "They'd have to be." Sam's like, "Shoot." Here's a little known fact. This episode continues where Showdown Part 2 left off. No time has passed. Sam and Diane haven't even left the office. And somehow between last episode and the start of this one, Diane's hair is noticeably shorter. And it's a bit of a different style, too, I noticed. So it's interesting. Apparently, Shelley Long got her hair done, cut or whatever, during the summer hiatus between seasons 1 and 2. They may not even known they were coming back. I don't know when they found out. I wish I could get the Burroughs brothers or sorry, the Charles brothers or James Burroughs, any of them. I've been trying that too, but I've been having trouble getting a hold of them. Well, hearing anything back. But I would love to get hold of them, or like I said, I could actually find out from the cast members if I can get one of them. So far the only cast member I've contacted is John Ratzenberger. His one agent referred me to another agent, and I'm waiting to hear back from that agent to see if he'll do the interview. But I'm curious, when did they find out that they were gonna get picked up for season 2? Because I know there was that issue. They were not doing well in that first season, and it was the president at the time, my personal favorite president of NBC, Tartikoff, Brandon Tartikoff, who really liked the show and also helped with other reruns and whatnot. People started tuning in and they liked it at that point. But I'm just curious, when exactly did they find out? So could have Shelley Long may have gotten her haircut not knowing, or did she already know and forgot got her haircut? Because I know from listening to other podcasts and things that I've read that you have to be careful when you try to do something new to your body, haircuts, tattoos, etc., because of continuity. Um, and it wasn't as big back then, but there was still a thing of at least, we want you to look someone like you looked before the last season if we're going to continue. Um, so just a thought. And that's pretty much the episode. This is a short one. Didn't have a whole lot to say about this one. But if you liked it, please do the button thing, like, hit subscribe, you know how that works. And of course, you can join the Facebook group. Cheers, that's one woman's opinion. Oh, let me do this. There we go. Cheers, Facebook group for the podcast. And you can follow me on the Instagram page, Cheers One Woman's Opinion Podcast. And for those of you who are listening to audio only, I put these on the page, but I actually have cards that I show. So I had to turn my light because it wasn't showing up. Twitter X at One Woman Opinion. Follow me there. And of course, you can email us with questions, comments, etc. on Cheers One Woman's Opinion Podcast at gmail.com. Next week, we'll look at season 2, episode 2, Little Sister Don't Ya. This is one where Carla's having her baby, and we're going to see her sister. I feel like Carla's been pregnant forever, and that is One Woman's Opinion. Thank you.